You know what really cracks me up about entitled people? They walk around like the world owes them a round of applause just for showing up. And they truly believe everybody else should play by these imaginary rules they cooked up in their heads. I'm Marcus Chin, 34, software architect by trade. And let me tell you, when I moved into Willowbrook Estates 3 years ago, I was dead set on one thing: finding some peace and quiet so I could work from home and not lose my mind. The neighborhood looked perfect: big old oak trees, houses that folks actually took care of, and this HOA that on the surface seemed reasonable. Just enough oversight to keep folks from painting their garage neon pink, not the sort that tells you how many blades of grass you're allowed to own. I spend most days untangling the sort of code that would make your eyes cross, building out big systems for big companies, so patience and logic are my bread and butter. All I wanted was to park myself on my little corner lot, enjoy my trees, and keep to myself. Simple, right? Yeah, I thought so too, until I ran into Linda Hartwell. Now, if you've never met a real-life tyrant dressed in business casual, you're in for a treat. Linda was about to find out what happens when you poke a guy who's literally paid to dismantle broken systems for a living. Turns out all those years wrangling buggy code were the perfect boot camp for taking down an HOA dictator. It kicked off on a crisp October morning, one of those days where the sunlight looks brand new and the coffee tastes like a small miracle. I was on my back deck combing through some architecture diagrams, just minding my business, when suddenly I hear this cough. Not a normal one, but the kind that sounds like it's been practiced in a mirror. I look up and there she is, Linda Hartwell, clipboard in hand, pearls blazer, the whole 9 yards, like she'd just come from a suburban power summit. She didn't walk onto my property. She arrived. "Excuse me, Mr. Chen," she says, and I swear she was addressing me like I was a 5th grader. "We need to discuss your guest parking situation." Now, I hardly ever have guests. My driveway is just me, my car, and the occasional Amazon package, so I'm honestly confused. "What guest parking situation?" I ask, feeling like I missed a meeting. That's when Linda pulls out this smile, the kind you see on cats about to eat a bird. As the HOA vice president and head of the Neighborhood Standards Committee, she says, "I need to establish some ground rules about who can and cannot park in your driveway." I blinked. "I mean, what ground rules about my own driveway?" I ask. She nods, all business. "You see, Mr. Chen, some residents have more important guests than others. Board members, community leaders, people who contribute to our neighborhood's prestige." I kid you not. She said prestige like she was auditioning for Downton Abbey. Apparently these VIPs should get priority for the best parking, meaning my driveway. "So you're saying I should move my car when your important guests come over?" I ask, making sure I'm not hallucinating. She gives me the look people save for stubborn toddlers. Not give up exactly, just coordinate. Move your car to the street when I need the space. At this point, my brain is throwing up error messages. "Linda, this is my property, my driveway. I pay taxes. I shovel the snow. I fix the cracks. If I want to park a circus elephant out there, that's between me and the elephant." That's when her whole face freezes. She's not used to pushback. "Mr. Chen, you clearly don't understand how things work here. The HOA expects cooperation. The more I say no, the more she starts waving around vague threats, compliance issues, property inspections, you name it. I ask her, dead serious, to show me the exact bylaw that says she can dictate who parks in my driveway. She tells me, get this, some things don't need to be written down, they're just understood. Classic. But I stayed calm. Years of dealing with stubborn code teaches you not to freak out when things go sideways. "Linda," I tell her, "if there's a rule, I want to see it." "Documentation, please." She scoffs. "I've been here 15 years. I know what's appropriate. You newer residents just don't get it." She even hints that people who don't cooperate get extra scrutiny. The threat was clear: either bow to the queen or face her wrath. As she stalks off muttering about entitled newcomers, I'm standing there, coffee going cold, thinking, okay, now it's personal. You ever have one of those moments where someone pushes you so hard you flip from annoyed to laser focused? That was me. Suddenly, I was treating this whole situation like a broken system at work. Identify the root cause, trace the failure, engineer a fix. What Linda didn't realize was, by trying to intimidate me, she turned this from a petty dispute into a mission. Linda's campaign started subtle. She'd walk by snapping photos of my trash cans if they were out too early, leave little notes about community standards, and ramp up from there. Next thing I know, there's a letter from the HOA citing me for parking non-compliance and demanding I show up to a committee meeting. It's a masterpiece of bureaucratic nonsense, all about harmony and cooperation, trying to make me look like the jerk for not rolling over. Curiosity got the best of me, so I went to the meeting, which naturally was at Linda's house. She had 4 board members lined up like a firing squad. Linda stands in front of a flip chart running down a list of my so-called violations. She paints me like the neighborhood villain refusing to cooperate. My turn comes and I ask to see the bylaw that says my driveway isn't mine. Dead silence. Linda changes colors twice, then huffs. It's about community spirit, not legal technicalities. I press again, documentation, please. Board members start looking nervous. Meeting ends with Linda promising to review the documents, which we both know means stall for time. But then the retaliation starts. Violation notices start pouring in. My grass too tall by a 1/4-inch house numbers. Not visible enough, even though they hadn't changed in 3 years. Leaves from my oak trees falling onto the sidewalk. She fines me for every little thing, each notice more ridiculous than the last. What she doesn't know is I'm documenting every single bit of it. She's making my case for me. So I get to work digging into HOA, bylaws, meeting minutes, all the official paperwork. And guess what? There's nothing about driveway parking, nothing about this standards committee Linda keeps waving around. Turns out she invented the committee herself. No vote, no board approval, just a power grab. She's been pulling this act for almost 2 years, taking advantage of busy board members who can't be bothered to read the fine print. But the real twist. When I start quietly reaching out to other neighbors, I find out Linda's been tormenting half the street. Mrs. Patterson, a widow down the block, got written up for her roses not matching the preferred landscaping aesthetic. The Johnsons, nice couple little kids, got nailed for toys left in the yard, all because they didn't want to join one of Linda's volunteer committees. The family who sold me my house harassed so badly they packed up and left. Suddenly, it's not just me. Linda's reign of terror is a pattern. Armed with all this, I kick off Operation Documentation, gathering evidence, getting other neighbors' stories, laying out timelines. When I bring it up at another HOA meeting, I do it by the book presentation, printed evidence, everything. Linda loses it, calls me a troublemaker, says I'm undermining community harmony. The best part, she doubles down in front of the board, digging herself deeper. She retaliates so hard it turns into comedy. 5 violation notices in a day, including one for the color of my garden hose. Then she goes door to door warning other residents not to side with me or else. The board starts realizing, hey, maybe there's a problem here. And then comes the grand finale. Linda shows up at my house one Saturday with 2 so-called inspectors. She's got a clipboard, they've got cameras and measuring tapes, and they announce an official HOA compliance inspection. I ask if they have any authority to be on my property. Linda claims she does, but when I ask for proof, she gets flustered. I start recording everything. Turns out her inspectors are just random handymen she hired off Craigslist, no credentials, nothing. So now she's trespassing, impersonating authority, and committing actual fraud all on camera. I tell them to leave, and they do, but not before I get every second on video. That's when the dominoes start falling. I take everything to the police for trespassing and impersonation of authority, to the state attorney general for HOA fraud, and to the real HOA president who'd been traveling and knew nothing about Linda's little regime. I send out a neighborhood-wide email, invite everyone to a meeting, and include all the juicy documentation. Word spreads fast. Turns out a lot of people were just waiting for someone to say enough's enough. At the emergency HOA meeting, the place is packed. Biggest turnout ever. I lay out Linda's fake committees, bogus fines, illegal inspections, and let neighbors share their own stories. Mrs. Patterson stands up with a binder full of Rose violations. The Johnsons have screenshots of months of harassment. Linda, for once, can't shout everyone down. The president suspends her on the spot, promises a full investigation, and tells everyone that all her made-up violation notices are void. The police and attorney general open official cases. Linda's last move. She tries to sue me for harassment and defamation. The judge takes one look at the stack of evidence and tosses it out, says exposing illegal abuse isn't defamation, it's a public service. 6 months later, the HOA invites me to help rewrite the bylaws to stop this ever happening again. Me, the uncooperative newcomer Linda, wanted to run out of town. Funny how things work out, right? If you take one thing from my story, let it be this. Bullies like Linda count on silence, confusion, and intimidation. But when you treat their nonsense like any other broken system, gather your evidence and shine a light on the whole mess, it falls apart pretty quick. Have you ever had to deal with someone who tried to bully you with rules that weren't even real? Maybe next time you'll remember authority only works if people believe in it. And sometimes all it takes is one stubborn neighbor with a camera and a folder to bring the whole show crashing down. Let me know in the comments. Where do you stand on HOA power trips? Ever fought back against an overreaching board? Drop your own war stories below, and don't forget to share your thoughts on what real community means. Justice doesn't always come easy, but when it finally shows up, you gotta admit, it's one heck of a show.